Welcome back to the collaboration space. I'm your host, Mathew DeFreitas. For those of you watching our podcast, you'll see that I'm sporting my HP Poly headset, and so that can only mean one thing. We're talking about HP Poly today, and we're specifically discussing how using HP Poly solutions can help organizations create a standardized employee work experience for anyone, anywhere. Joining me today to discuss this topic is HP Poly's Joe Mukherjee. Joe, welcome to the collaboration space.
Hey, Matthew, great to see you. Thank you for having me.
So, Joe, the concept of a standardized or equitable work experience has been at the forefront of workplace design conversations since the concept of hybrid work really became prevalent just a few years ago. And it seems like every 6 months or so to a year, the standardizing systems and experiences for everyone, it kind of evolves. And so we've seen the introduction of numerous cameras, video and sound bars, collaboration platform features, and now, of course, AI is reshaping how we think of meeting equity. So as the workplace continues to evolve, how is HP Poly standardizing the workplace experience and enhancing collaboration technology user experiences?
It's a great question, Matthew. I mean, zooming out, when we were all subject to lockdown, we all were doing calls from our mobile PCs in the kitchen, in the bedroom. Any space became office space. And as a citizen of a downtown metropolis, I will tell you the last 6 to 8 weeks, there are far more human beings in the office towers, in the food courts, in the transit systems. There is absolutely a desire and a need for people to be together. That doesn't mean to say we're all going to be back to the way it was pre-pandemic. Every video call that I've been a part of always seems to have someone remote. And so we have to engineer corporate, enterprise, public sector. We all must cater towards giving our employees, our partners, our stakeholders a choice. And by choice, I mean where they're going to join a specific meeting. And our mantra, our motto, Matthew, is to deliver equitable experiences, whether an employee chooses to work from home, whether they're in a coffee shop, in an airport lounge, or in a conference room / shared space. We want to make sure whether you're remote or in person, everyone can be seen and heard with the optimal experience possible. Really, it's around nonverbal communication, the frowning of brows and the smiles. 90% of human communication is nonverbal. So video and audio, they must work in harmony, because we will expect that this modern work philosophy, this delivering equitable experience regardless of location, that's the reality. And that's where we're going to be working as colleagues, as partners, as stakeholders, likely into the rest of our working years, Matthew.
And so, Joe, can you describe some solutions that do this, just to give the folks listening an example or two?
Definitely, I can. So if you think about shared spaces, and I'll focus in really on the campus environment for a moment, shared spaces typically have maybe 4 or 5 different room personas. It's kind of weird to talk about rooms and personas, but what I mean by that is, what are we trying to accomplish in this shared space? What we've come to observe is that the smaller the space, the more prevalence there is for a bring your own device type of solution. Bring your own device, what does that mean? Well, ultimately, I'm using a video bar like this. This is the Poly Studio R30, for those of you who are listening to this podcast. The R30 is a USB webcam on steroids. Our world-renowned camera tracking capabilities, noise blocking capabilities are built into a form factor that is as simple as can be. I just move this little red mount. That's what's popping on top of a display. This can also be mounted below a display to give people the center of eyes experience. But ultimately, this type of solution is a very simple, almost DIY type of scenario for those smaller rooms. That's the bring your own device portfolio. that really is catering to, we'll call it 1 to 3 human beings in a shared space. A very small room, a touchdown room, a quick collab room where you're not booking anything. It's meant to be a just-in-time type of environment. On the other end of the spectrum, we're seeing a lot of folks coming back into large boardrooms. Large boardrooms typically have a much longer conference table. You might be seated well back from display systems. That's where a camera like our E60, which we launched in March of this year, is really, really powerful. This will shoot an image up to 40 feet away. And I'm not sure if this comes across easily in the video, Matthew, but there's an AI lens. Yes, we all have to say AI. This AI lens is instructing the larger camera head on where we perceive the subject to be. So this camera, mounted in the back of a very large conference room, or perhaps in an auditorium type of environment, satisfies the need for giving inclusivity for all participants, because really video is about the remote individual, their ability to be seen and be heard. And really cool feature in this camera, I can flip it. There's a gyro built in, so the image stabilizes without any configuration required. This is a USB device, and we're going to trend to having all of our devices work over standard category cable.
And Joe, I just, for our listeners at home, I just wanted to quickly note, or at least from my vantage point, that AI camera is at the base of the E60 camera as a whole, rather, so people can get that idea.
It's one self-contained unit. Exactly right.
Yeah. Excellent. What else do you have to show us?
So another device that we're launching at InfoComm, hopefully for those who are on the blog will come down to InfoComm. We will be in booth C208, and we are launching 2 video-specific devices. Guess what? These devices are already component within AVI-SPL Symphony. So if you are not aware what Symphony is a class-leading tool built by AVI-SPL to provide agnostic management capabilities across a number of different OEM manufacturers like HP Poly. So our G62 is an Android-based codec. This is a very small form factor device, but it's intended to power very large conference rooms. And how we do that, you'll notice that the ports are color-coded, so it makes the job of the installer's life very easy, as well as any non-technical staff when they're troubleshooting, is the red port connected to the red cable. You'd be surprised on how many truck rolls that will mitigate. This device here is made from post-consumer recycled plastics. We are very big into sustainability. The plastic casing is 80%. The internal components are 45%. It also comes with this handy dandy mounting plate. The plate would be something we suggest you mount behind the display. A cool feature that folks who are seeing this will notice, this codec is magnetized. So I'm able to mount it virtually anywhere. This is effectively a field replaceable unit. Same vein around sustainability. This is a power over Ethernet device. If your room can supply power over Ethernet, you don't need the power brick. The power brick is an optional SKU. And we made that conscious decision, Matthew, because I'm sure, like me, you probably have a cardboard box in your garage with a bunch of miscellaneous cables and power adapters that may have moved from one home to another. So we're trying to save unnecessary landfill, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
We're making conscious decisions on sustainability. 80% post-consumer recycled plastics, magnetized for installation access, grommeted cable management built in, all predicated on sustainability. The other solution that I'm really excited about is our G9 Plus HP mini compute. This device here has an i7 processor. It has 16 gigs of memory, a 256 solid state drive. Forgive me if I'm geeking out, but I'll continue. There's 7 USB ports on this bad guy. right? So if we're talking about extensibility and having it connect to multiple cameras, multiple platforms, multiple audio inputs, there is no comparator. But what's really going to blow our minds is we're part of a computer manufacturing company now, and we're able to influence the hardware design. So our controller for this new MTR is going to be just like this. What do I mean? Single cable. One cable to control your Microsoft Teams Room on Windows experience. And in addition, we'll support up to 4 touch panels talking to this compute. So imagine those really large boardrooms using perhaps the E60 camera and having everyone have arm's length control of that meeting experience. I'm really, really excited. Infocom is going to be amazing. These are 2 specific new solutions, 2 of 10 that we're launching in fiscal year 2024.
All of the products sound fantastic there, Joe. And yeah, we'll be there right there with you. We'll be at booth C7031 ourselves. So look forward to seeing you out there. Just to touch on, the array of products that you shared there. One thing that kind of sticks out to me is that they all seem very adaptable to a variety of environments. I know that there's like the BYOD space is for a bit more of the smaller areas, but it did seem kind of like I could put them in the different objects in different spaces if I wanted to. And so I actually believe that in itself, adaptability is a function of standardizing systems across a workplace. And just as the solutions must accommodate an individual end users' needs, they also have to be able to be scalable in design across an enterprise's infrastructure. And so, and one common request that we're seeing businesses often ask for today is that not only their solutions be scalable, but they also be sustainable. And you touched on briefly a second ago about HP Poly's approach to sustainability. I was wondering if you could speak more to those efforts as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to, Matthew. And in full transparency, HP is a world leader in the sustainability narrative. Okay, so we at Poly are learning and adapting our processes. The G62, the device I showed you, is the first video device from our portfolio built with sustainability at the heart of its design. All of the remaining video devices will ship with sustainability core in its design principle. Focusing on the PC for a moment, HP sells a PC a second globally. That's a mind-blasting statistic. All the keys are made from post-consumer ocean-bound recovered plastics. The bezels are made from post-consumer recovered aluminum. So it is really, really encouraging that HP, with its world-leading position, is informing how HP, Poly, our video division, should be keeping in lockstep. Now, I've spoken at length about video specifically. 12 different video products being announced in the next 12 months. That's 1 a month. Never in my history have I had that experience working at Poly for over a decade. It speaks to the massive investment HP is making in this hybrid working portfolio. Now, that doesn't even include the innovations and new devices that we're bringing for our headset portfolio and our handset portfolio. We've leveled up our game. As a matter of fact, we have over 48 certified devices for Microsoft Teams alone. And that speaks to our focus and our attention to work alongside our colleagues at Microsoft. Zoom is no different. Google is no different. We are absolutely lockstep with the big cloud providers, and all of our devices have the ability to operate, whether it's in Zoom, calling into a Teams environment, and so on and so forth. That kind of speaks to your extensibility and, I'll say, sustainment, right? All these devices can operate in multiple modalities depending on the conference that's required.
And now, Joe, I imagine there's also a need for a standardized approach to managing these systems as well. How can organizations manage HP Poly technologies on a mass scale?
A great question. And that is probably the most challenging aspect, especially as IT has become centralized and locations haven't changed. IT staff might be located in Denver and supporting customer locations all throughout the US. It's no longer the case that you can rely on a local IT resource per satellite office. So having a tool called PolyLens, that's our management application. PolyLens is a cloud-born application. Guess what? Getting in costs $0. So we've taken away the economical barrier of adopting PolyLens. Lens manages our entire fleet of hardware devices. That's headsets, that's handsets, that's video conferencing devices. And as I mentioned before, PolyLens is actually sending and receiving data to AVI-SPL Symphony. So I get the question a lot, do I need Teams Admin Center, Zoom Device Manager, the Google applicable tool to manage the Poly devices? My answer is simply this. Teams does a great job of managing the application layer, where PolyLens is phenomenal at managing the hardware layer, right? So a hardware like the mobile phone and the Teams app running on the software on my mobile phone. So Teams is the app, we're the hardware. So when you're thinking about mass deployment, to use your analogy, Matthew, imagine an organization is deploying thousands of handsets. We don't want to be doing them one at a time. That's going to take an IT administrator probably the balance of their entire quarter to go and put these devices into a tool one at a time. Imagine the ability to grab all of the serial numbers, upload them into PolyLens, and therefore, when these phones boot up, the out-of-box experience, it just works. That's where we excel. That's where PolyLens is helpful, specifically in managing device inventory, software updates, and hardware management. So out-of-box, making sure the application is running in lockstep with the hardware. We're responsible for the hardware. Another example would be 802.1x certificates. Most customers have a security concern and they want to make sure their environment is not subject to malicious attacks and the like. A common use is certificates. We can upload certificates in PolyLens and have them mass deployed. Teams Admin Center, that requires a one-by-one approach. If you're doing 2 or 3, no problem. If you're doing 2, 3, 4, 500, big problem. That's where Lens, working alongside Teams Admin Center, and now feeding data into AVI-SPL Symphony, it's the trifecta of management opportunity. As I mentioned, Lens getting in, $0 cost.
Wow, Joe, thank you for that detailed overview. I really appreciate it. And to everyone listening, if you're interested in learning more about how Poly and Symphony work together to monitor and elevate user experiences, you can actually join Joe and AVI-SPL's Lori Berg on July 17th at 2 p.m. Eastern in an AVTechnology webcast. And don't worry, we'll provide the registration link in the description below. And Joe, while we are discussing, the management of these systems, I think it's also worth mentioning that AVI-SPL frequently collaborates with HP Poly to create custom conference room solutions, and our partnership, along with our global reach, allows us to meet regional ESG requirements that you brought up earlier. And we were able to, produce repeatable solutions, manage systems on a large scale. And so like HP Poly, we're devoted to integrating sustainability throughout our organization. And in fact, we detail our efforts in our ESG report that we published recently. And so for our listeners and viewers, we'll kindly provide that link and to the report rather, and to HP Poly's sustainability webpage in our show notes below. And then with that being said, Joe, I mean, I've had a wonderful time chatting with you today about all things Poly and creating that standardized work experience for everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you in the collaboration space. I want to thank you for joining me today.
It's been a riot. Thank you so much, Matthew. For those coming to InfoComm, both booth C8042, looking forward to seeing you. And by the way, I'll also mention this as a closing remark. Our partnership with AVI-SPL has no parallel. We are deeply rooted in terms of delivering solutions in partnership. The new devices that we just talked about on today's call, well, guess what? They've been in the AVI-SPL testing labs for the better part of 4 months. AVI-SPL is ready to take orders unannounced. We've been collaborating on bug fixes, on new feature development. Our partnership could not have been stronger. I'm looking forward to the conversation with Lori Berg, talking around Lens and Symphony in the weeks to come. Thanks so much for the opportunity, Matthew.
Thanks again, Joe. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. And if you prefer the audio version of this podcast, you can just search the collaboration space on your favorite podcast app. Joe, again, thank you so much. And everyone, thanks again for joining us. Goodbye for now. For more information, visit avispl.com/poly.